Today I'm showing you how I make my fruit fly cultures. They're Drosula Haida or something. They're like the slightly larger ones. The bigger ones, the ones I have, are considered like flightless. They still have their wings, as opposed to the wingless ones that don't fly at all, which are a little bit smaller. I think I like the bigger ones better. Anything like guppy size or bigger, they can eat them just fine. Adult guppy, not like a baby. But should have opened this beforehand. If these ones get above 80, they kind of start to fly. So, you know, make sure they don't get above 80 degrees or so. And what you need to culture them is the flies, obviously, mashed potatoes, cinnamon, one of like the Slurpee, icy, slushy, you know, whatever drinks from like the gas station with the dome lid. Really just any cup, plastic cup with a dome lid is what you want. And the dome lid is for easy pouring, and I'll show you that later. You also want cinnamon, Sharpie, spoon, cotton ball, the mashed potatoes. I'm sure I'm repeating this stuff, but I forgot what I said. It's easier if you mix the mashed potatoes in something other than the cup, and then just some regular water. I do not dechlorinate mine. So, you want to aim for about this much or so to be filled up with the mashed potatoes. So I'm just going to pour some out. I just use the cheapest instant mashed potatoes. Okay, so I poured them out. I'm going to add the cinnamon. Cinnamon helps with mold. Oh, you also need coffee filters. I forgot that. You need coffee filters as well. I'll have to get some of those. Or you can use other things. I think coffee filters work good though. Some people use like this wood product thingy. I'm not really sure what it's called. But it's kind of expensive, and well, the coffee filters work, and they're like way cheaper and easier to get. So, you know, I'm going to continue using those. The other stuff, you know, it might be better, but I doubt it makes that much of a difference. You want to get this stuff mixed up pretty good. You want it to be about the consistency of mashed potatoes. Just like with microworms, you want to do this the same way as if you were doing it with microworms, but you're putting it in a cup with flies instead of a dish with nematodes. I like to have, with the flies, I like to have it a little bit harder than with microworms, just so it doesn't move around whenever you're pouring it out. And if you make it too soupy, you can just add some more. But honestly, the flies, it'll kind of get soupy with time, and then it'll get harder. I think the flies like eat the soupiness. I don't really know. But sometimes it seems like it's real soupy, and then, you know, maybe a week later it's really hard again. So I guess the flies, you know, do stuff with it. I think I might add a little bit more water. It's kind of dry. Just into the cup there. Looks like I eyeballed that pretty good. Only about that much. Okay, still need some more water. That might have been too much. We'll see. Just a little bit too much of some of this stuff I spilled. Pop it in. Mix that around and that should dry it out enough. A little bit goes a long way with drying it out, by the way. That was only like, a few flakes, and it got me to the consistency I wanted. But, learning that stuff just comes with time. Anyways, let me get my coffee filters. I like to use 3 of them in this come and go medium size cup. This is a Sharpie for comparison. And you just get one. I crumble the coffee filters up. Then I'll kind of uncrumble them. Put them in. I like to do 2 on the top, I guess, or the bottom. Well, let me rephrase it. I like to do 2 before I put the flies in. Then I like to put one of them on top of the flies. But before we get our flies, we want to plug our hole here. Lid, our cotton ball. Just shove it in there. Make sure there's no gaps or anything. We'll set that off to the side. Now we're going to take our cotton ball off of the fruit fly culture we have, or whatever you buy at the store, or whatever, however you get your flies. And then you're just going to dump some in. Flies, come back. Sometimes it's easier if you kind of tap it. Okay, that's good. Get that back in. Shove this in there. It's hard to film because these suckers are quick. And get that lid on as fast as possible, and then just smash any of the remainders. Only 2 escaped there, so that's pretty good. And you want to aim for maybe 10, 20 or so in there. Doesn't really make that big of a difference, but yeah. You want to have a few, Let me get a different cup because this one's kind of soupy, as you can see. Kind of moving it blocked our hole. Let me get one that's not so soupy. Oh shoot. Lost our plug. There almost. Let me get one that's not so soupy, and I'll be back and I'll show you how I feed this stuff. Alright, got one. This one was made on 210, the other one was made on 228. The cultures seem to last around 2 months, I'd say. But the biggest boom you'll have is the flies basically take like 3 weeks or so to become flies from eggs or whatever flies do. So you'll have a huge boom. It'll be like hundreds of flies in like week 3, and then it kind of dwindles off from there. They don't seem to make as many. I'm not really sure why, but that's just what I've noticed. There's like a huge boom, and then making more slows down drastically after that. But yeah, I just make some every couple of months. Some people like spray stuff in there to stop the mold so they last a little bit longer, but that's kind of a lot of work. I think it's easier just to make a new one every couple of months, and it's good to have at least 2 cultures going at once, so if one crashes, all your stuff doesn't die. But anyway, can you see good there? Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to take this top off. Scared a coolie loach. I'm just going to take the plug out and just kind of dump some in. That's good. Got a few in there. And you can see the fish just going crazy for it. I like to kind of stand around to catch any that are trying to be escape artists, but As long as you don't have a whole bunch of floating plants. I do have quite a bit in this tank, but they're all on the other side because of this hang-on back here. So, you know, I dump them in on the side that doesn't have the floating plants. If you have the floating plants, you know, you can just kind of move them to the side or something. But looks like they got them all 8. And yeah. So another thing is with these things, they will escape sometimes. You know, they might fall over, or you know, you'll just have a few escape. Maybe you didn't put your cotton ball in good enough, and there's, you know, a little gap or whatever. So I like to do vinegar eels next to them because the flies will go to the vinegar and then they drown. So that's just something I've picked up. Put them next to vinegar. And so anyways, whenever you're done, you mark the date, which I think it's April 2nd. Let me see though. Yep, April 2nd. So you just mark the date with a Sharpie so you know roughly